Wow, we already have people waiting. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for staying backstage there for a second while we got everything lined up. We have an incredible show for you tonight. A little bit controversial, but a good one. Before we get started, we have Lucas filling in for Red Hood tonight. Lucas, thank you for being here.
Hey, as long as you allow me to drink, I'm gonna be here.
Dude, I need a drink too. Like I was telling Anthony after this launch tonight, like I'm ready for a drink, and this topic is going to be intense. You're
See,
all
see,
drinking. Damn it. I
That's
need to get my.
yes,
right.
ma'am.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you for being here, Lucas. It's been too long since we've had you on the show, so we appreciate you. We got JT Key Comic in the house. Welcome on in. H&H, I have been waiting for this topic too. I have a feeling this is going to be a good one. And our benefactor. There we go. Nimesh Patel. Thank you so much.
The man, the legend.
Now,
What's
He
going
really
on?
is.
So good to have viewers like you that support the show. All right, so tonight's topic. Oh, Coco Gal's in the house too. What's up?
It's
And
this
Black Comic
long time
Lords
no see.
for
Black Comic
Coco.
Lord GT. Yeah, I haven't seen her in a while. I mean, maybe just because she gets fulfilled with y'all's, and then she's like, man, I ain't going over to drunken chat. You know, because
Yeah,
all those dudes is argue and drink and smoke and everything. She ain't trying to hear all that.
we
You
don't
know.
argue as much as you guys, but we definitely probably drink as much as you guys lately, anyway. Yeah. Tonight we are going to be covering a issue that is, I don't want to say plaguing the comic community, but it's definitely challenging. AI art, artificial intelligence, how that is affecting the art world. We're gonna try to keep it. We're gonna try to keep it as civil as we can, but we're gonna give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's just kick it on off. So nearing Nirvana, the way we start the show. Let's get some background information to start for anybody that's not familiar with AI art. Sarah, you want to handle that first top left?
You betcha. AI art is art generated with the assistance of artificial intelligence. AI is a field of computer science that utilizes a series of algorithms to simulate human intelligence.
All right, so the system itself uses a machine, and this part, I don't know how I feel about this, Lucas. This blows my mind. Uses a machine learning to mimic the human brain and can be used for a variety of purposes, which we'll dive into that a little bit deeper
Yep.
later. Um, that one sentence though, to mimic the human brain, I think that's just crazy.
Right.
And
So imagine like everything that you've ever learned, or if you walk up to a normal person in the street and there are normal cues that you are looking at from that person, like, hey, if that person's wearing his hat backwards, well, you're thinking number one that person's a guy already. Number two, that person may be from the hood. Number three, that person may be of lower economic status, right? That's because that's the way you're trained and your brain is trained if we can look at it. Now, when it comes to these computers, they're queuing as well. They're looking for labels that a lot of those like Shutterstock, they have like little labels and tags. So when you ask for something, they are pulling all those tags and labels together to put that all together, and that's kind of how it works. And then they improve. They improve it by, so for instance, like when you do your first one, there'll be like four or five images that pop up, and the one that you select, you're like, oh, this is actually what people want, and then they keep that in queue to improve the results later. So um, is it going to be better than us? It all depends on what art is available out there. Like some of our friends are that are great freaking artists. Um, I think it's all going to rely on like what type of their stuff, what part of their art is actually out there and freely available to use.
it'll
If
be
they,
interesting when we bring them on, guys. If you're just tuning
Mhm.
in, we have two artists backstage. We're waiting on Drew Zucker. Hey, Jen, can you try to resend that link to him? We have Kyle Strahm from co-creator of Twig backstage, and Trish Forstner. We'll be bringing them on in a second. But to generate AI art, artists use AI programs to analyze, like what Lucas was saying, thousands of images. And they comprehend specific art styles, aesthetics, or creative processes. Then the AI is what it's learned to create a new image. It's mind-boggling. And yes, there are a lot of negative implications to this. There's also some positive ones that we kind of wanted to hit on first. Back in
Right.
2015, there were three main applications for AI art. Deep Dream came out in 2015. This one was more well known and was invented to help scientists and engineers visualize patterns. That doesn't sound too threatening, right?
I don't know why, but this sounds like the plot to Terminator. Like, I don't I mean, like, you would keep talking about, oh yeah, AI is gonna like figure things out and look at patterns, and then, you know, next thing you know, our robot overlords are like, you know, hunting us.
Right. Well,
Maybe.
I feel like when you say stuff that it mimics the human expression or the human, you know, intellect or what, you know, just the human, just us as humans, that just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I forget which movie it was, but there was a certain movie where we had gotten so good at programming the robots and the AI and everything, and then they were able to replace us in our jobs. So there was massive layoffs across the board.
Mm-hmm.
What,
Right?
Matrix? The Matrix? The
Was it?
robots take over and
I
plug
think
us
you know
up
what
like
you're talking.
batteries.
Right.
Is it a
And
Bruce
then
Willis movie?
I forget, but then we got mad at the robots and the
Yep.
AI, so we tried to destroy it. They became aware that they were trying to be destroyed, and then they fought back, and then that
Mhm.
let off a big old war in between the two master races or something like that.
Maybe somebody in the chat will know exactly. Ooh, JT, we're gonna get to that here in a second. That part's kind of crazy. So that was the first one we wanted to bring to your attention was so here's a little experiment I want to have with you guys. All right, Lucas, give me a word.
Drunken people.
Well, I mean, that's 2 words.
On a
but-
Zamboni.
Drunk.
On a
I'll
Zamboni.
just put drunk. Now,
On a
what art
Zamboni.
style?
Zamboni.
Wait, what?
Put drunk Zamboni.
How do you spell Zamboni? Zamboni?
I thought it was it's with a Z. It's like Zamboni, I believe.
Okay. Now pick a style. Let's go, since we're comic book people, let's just do comics.
Sure.
Okay, so you put in some words. This one's called Wombo. I don't know if I should be demonstrating this when we're doing a show against AI, but what the hell. Then you press create. What the hell is
Wow.
that? Is that
Wow.
a Zamboni?
That is not a Zamboni, but at least it recognized that it's a machine
True.
with 4 wheels.
Yes.
And that looks like a drunken person, right? Let's try this again.
Here,
Your guys' was weird. I'm gonna put flower because I'm a regular human being here.
and then Zamboni. Z.
I'm not doing Zamboni.
Did you go to a hockey game lately? What's going on? Is that what you got with Zamboni?
Did you go to the Blackhawks play?
For those that don't know what a Zamboni is, it's the machine that cleans the ice. It's not something perverted. All right, just want to.
Oh my God, fine. Spell it, Jen.
Lord of Brooklyn did it. Zamboni.
All right, here you go.
Put drunk. Or put drunk.
Zamboni, drunk, and let's do a realistic one. So guys, if you're just tuning in, we are going to be getting to why AI is bad, but this is actually kind of entertaining. So I see the appeal.
Oh.
That's not drunk.
That doesn't look drunk at all.
I mean, it kind of is a Zamboni.
Yeah, it looks like the picture that was taking the picture was drunk, maybe.
Yeah.
See, you got realistic on there. That's why.
Oh, okay, hold on. Want me to do expressionalism? Create.
Right.
Meh.
Yeah.
This is why you hire real artists.
See, and
Yeah,
you also got the premium features down there if you're willing to pay for it and everything. So
Do it. Okay, Sarah, give me a normal word.
Panda.
Panda. Okay, and what style?
Let's do a splatter.
Okay. I can see Trish in the background. She's, oh, that's actually kind of cute, right?
yeah, it is.
Anyway, so there's an example of how some of these works. That one in particular was called Wombo, where it takes different text and then images. And then, of course, Guangan, which that one I thought was really interesting because it takes really primitive images and then makes it look real. So 3 examples of different types of AIs that have been introduced in the past. But yeah, we're gonna bring on the artist here in a second. There's about 30 of you hanging out with us. Again, we are talking AI art, and we have 3 guests in the back. We have Kyle Strahm, the co-creator of Twig, Trish Forstner, co-creator of Stray Dogs, and Drew Zucker. Canto, baby. We haven't had him on in a while. What do you guys say? You want to bring him on?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
I think I just lost Kyle.
Kyle, no,
there
come back.
Yay.
Oh, wait,
There
he
he is. Okay,
Hey.
Drew, we'll start with you. What's up, Drew? Hi.
Hi.
It's good to see you. It's been a while.
I know. I haven't seen you in a while. I saw Ant during San Diego.
Nah, I haven't been doing cons as much as I probably should. But thank you for being here tonight. We're really, really excited to hear your take. Trish, hi. Welcome in.
Hello. Has been
Same
a bit for
deal.
me too.
This is a passionate one for you, right? This is something that you feel strongly about.
I mean, it's just been because I see it so much more, and like I see people's lack of regard for the artist's work who go into feeding these algorithms. It's just, that work doesn't just come out of nowhere.
You sound like very familiar to something that we'll be bringing up in a few minutes here. But yeah. Kyle, last but not least, welcome on in. How are you doing? You're muted.
Oh no.
Kyle will figure out his audio. This happened last time too.
Kyle accidentally touched something and it went.
Yeah,
That
he's
wasn't
like,
it.
last time when I went backstage and I came back, I lost my audio. But we'll get him back here in a second. So let's start talking AI. Trish, we are going to kick off the conversation with you since you're the one that provided me with some of these really cool graphics. Tell us about these.
Well, I mean, okay, so the one there I saw it on Twitter, and I feel like this is when a human or an artist uses references, if they're trying to grab a particular style, grab a particular pose, or rendering style, whatever. You look at that style of artwork. So if I wanted to do impressionism, or if I wanted to do surrealism, I would look at different things that would represent that type of art or that style, and then I would interpret it my own way. Hence as humans use them as inspiration.
Yep.
And make their own piece out of the items that they have, there. But when AI does it, using those things, it kind of just cuts it apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's data. It just kind of cuts it apart.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
so
yeah.
you lose the warmth that a human can give it,
Right.
or like the organic nature of what a human could give it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like when an artist does it, I'm talking about the artists that don't absolutely rely on their computers to draw their stuff. If you look at it really up close, you could see the technique that they put into it. You can see the hours, you can see the grading that they use, and you can see where they were going with it. Whereas this stuff is just trash, and it's
Well, not to mention, sorry to cut you off.
no,
Not to
man.
mention that, people study years. They practice for years. They practice for years and years to learn their craft. And somebody created a program that basically rips that off in 30 seconds. What did you do? You typed in the word panda and it took 15 seconds to draw
I could
that
tell
picture.
you were glaring at me backstage. You're like, I hate that panda.
That is now the worst panda.
Yeah, I mean, well, even then, like I was talking about the people some of the artists who over rely on their computers to do their work. Some of those people, they went to school for 4 years just to learn how to do that. And now you're telling me that there's a computer that could just do that. All they got to do is just provide the style and then the context, and then they can just put it all together. I don't know if it's bad news yet. I don't think so. I think people. I think without more investment, I think this will maybe go away because
Ooh, I don't think it's going away.
No, it's
I don't
not.
know.
No.
Well,
I don't see it going away.
Here's where you'll see it really take off, because everybody's trying to talk about tech and about being the big thing, but you all know what the biggest forefront and forebearer of real tech stuff is, right? It's porn. once you start seeing this stuff being used in porn, then that stuff.
Oh, I thought you said corn. I was like, what does corn have to do with any of this? That makes no sense, Lucas.
Well, I mean, and,
Well, it depends on how you use the corn.
so like, I mean,
There
maybe
is an application in porn for it.
Drunken chat, son. No.
Wait, Drew, what were you saying?
There is an actual application that they will use this for in porn. It all of that weirdo Family Guy Simpsons ripoff stuff.
Mhm. Yeah,
Whoever
they're already
is
using it.
doing that will start using this for that. I
Right.
guarantee
So
you.
yeah, so they are, yes, absolutely. So they are already using it for the animation stuff. Right. They're plugging this and putting weird bodies and weird faces and putting all that other stuff
I've
together.
seen
together for
another
animation,
version
but-
of AI that's being used on animation too,
Yeah.
to interpolate the animation to upscale it. So, say animation is drawn at a slower speed, like 24 frames per second. This AI is being used to boost it to 60 frames per second, so the movement appears smoother, but it's not. It's janky as hell. So, you know, and
right.
it takes away the artist's intent of the piece. So like that piece is then being turned into something that the artist didn't intend.
That
The
gets
original
really tricky.
creator.
That gets super tricky. I mean, you're blurring lines, but okay. I want to hear from Kyle. Kyle, can we hear you yet?
Yeah, I can hear you. And if you
You're
can hear
alive! Yay!
Yay.
me,
So weigh in on this with us. What do you think on this particular slide?
So I have thoughts on the philosophical nature of it, which is what a lot of conversations are about what an artist puts into it and versus a machine doing it. But what I really think, what I'm really interested in, and what I really think something can be done about is these are all copyrighted images. The law protects these images, and AI has scraped the internet for copyrighted images, and they've input protected images into their code, and they're using that to write new code to make images, and then they're profiting from it, and that's copyright infringement. And I just think
What'll
it's
shut it down?
time. There's going to be litigation. There's litigation now. There's a class action lawsuit already. It's going to take a couple of really big players to get ripped off and put a bunch of money into this, and then it will become
All I'm thinking
regular.
of is the image I saw that was like, it was a meme of you're not strong enough to beat me, and it's Hela, and it says AI art over her, and then it's Thor, and it says, I know I'm not, but he is, and he's pointing to the big monster, and it says Disney on it. Just
Yeah.
feed it all your Disney shit. You'll get it pulled down so
Right.
fast.
So let's be clear on what the case that Kyle's talking about. He was talking about there's a whole bunch of images out there which they used that style of an artist and they rendered a new thing. And the certain judges at the federal level had already said, well, it's you can't really copyright a style. You can copyright an actual image and your technique, but you can't really copyright a style. Until within the last 3 weeks, some of those AI images actually started popping up with the watermarks, with the Shutterstock and Getty Image watermarks,
Or
and
the
that's
artist's
crazy.
signature on it.
Right. Yeah. So that's where they can possibly lose if they can track, because they, of course, I have a feeling that Getty Images and Shutterstock, they put certain codes and that stuff to make sure they can track, so they can track it back. But like Kyle said, also is you got to track it back to actual damages done to the artist as a result of it. So they're gonna have to track down. So they gotta have OpenAI and AIPT and ChatPT actually submit like how many people have actually downloaded and actually used it for monetary value. It's going to be a whole crazy
So it's like
thing.
a Napster all over again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
think there's any hope of financial compensation for the artists whose work has been taken. I think the hope is litigation, like laws that will make it so that it's illegal in the future. Because if there's a class action suit, I even tweeted this like on week 1 when this all started. I was like, can't wait to get my $6 once this class action suit goes through.
Let me get my $18.37.
But I think it'll take transparency. Like they're gonna have. I saw a douchebaggy post by one of the guys who runs the AI, and he's like, "How could we possibly keep track of all these images? It's taken billions of images." And I want to be like, "Dude, you
Sounds like a you problem.
Make an AI that keeps track of where the images come from."
No. Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
I don't think the philosophical argument can be won, because people don't win arguments on the internet; they just continue. But I do think litigation can happen that will, in some ways, protect artists from this happening again. I also think I read the terms of service. I've engaged in lots of contracts that have to do with the images that I create and the intellectual property I create. And so I read all the terms of service for the AI image making software and for the text software. And anybody using it is screwed if they have a thing blow up. If they, like the guy who made a book, he made his own children's book. And firstly, I read his whole thing, and as soon as all the artists told him what they thought, he was really apologetic. But at first, he was like, "Hey, check out my book." If that thing became a hit, if that thing became the next big deal, the AI company owns half of it. Like, they own it forever.
Right.
And so, if he were to make millions, they could just come knocking at his door and say, "Hey, where's our cut?" And
that's the same story I heard with the AI comic book that came out recently.
We're gonna get to that. Hold on, you're getting ahead of me. We're gonna talk about that too. Good point there.
One more thing to say. Anybody, just like if I engage in a contract with a comic book publisher, every contract I've ever signed says, I, in writing, am confirming no third party owns any of this stuff. And if there is litigation against me that proves otherwise, I am solely responsible and the publisher is off the hook. And that's what the AI contract says. It says if you upload anything to this, you own it. So everybody who has uploaded other artists' stuff to this software is like, they probably don't know it, but they're in breach of that contract, which
Drew,
is.
I can tell you want to say something
wild.
here. You want to add to that? No. I can feel him absorbing it.
I am going to give you the most extreme example of this that I can possibly give you. This piece of shit was built by engineers. Engineers traditionally have a pretty fucking horrendous track record of keeping track of their moral obligation, and tend to focus on whether or not they can do something, not whether they should. You can read anything from anyone involved in the Manhattan Project, how good they felt after Nagasaki and Hiroshima when they realized what they had done. This is an extreme example, but this is what engineers do. Boston Dynamics is in the middle of building robots.
Right. So, but the case on this one is that, in this exactly because just how guys have been able to go in there and do it for free at some instances. When they built it under the fair use doctrine, which means they could pull all that because it's educational. All that stuff was out there for free. They are submitting it for free. The little widget where it gets weird is now that they are charging for it, and that they are everybody and their mama is going on there trying to build stuff.
So,
but
regardless of fair use, the minute copyrighted material is used, whether it's used by third party or
no. Now when it comes to educational. If it has an educational value,
if it's used by third party to make money from copyrighted material, if somebody were to take Twig and Canto and mash it up and then claim it's educational, it's still in violation of the copyright.
No, it is not. Sorry, but it's not. as long as they are not, making a whole bunch of money off of it, and they'll say, "Hey, we showed it." So, for instance, if somebody,
that's my point, is that somebody's going to go and make money off of it. That's the third party that would go and make money off of it.
But that would not fall under the educational values, and the educational value statute.
Sorry, I was muted. I forgot there. Yes, Jen, go ahead.
What if they use public domain images only?
which they should be.
Then they're fair
They should
game
be.
to do whatever they want with it.
But that's the point. They're not. They're going around that, and that's what's causing like a lot of these problems here. Here's one that I want you guys
Well,
to
there's other
address.
ethical issues as well. I mean, the data they scrape sometimes can be medical records and images from,
What do we think
image-
of this, Trish?
Yeah.
AI art is almost.
No, I don't
identical-
agree with that statement at all. I literally do not agree with that statement at all. Because I still physically drew the damn thing. If it's an homage, I still physically created it. It wasn't a robot.
What do you think, Kyle?
I still drew it.
To that.
Well, what do I think about that? I mean, I think I'll tell you this. I don't agree, but I don't think the argument's going to be won here. So.
Hey, it's a good conversation.
Well, I
We're
was
having
like, I'm
this-
not arguing about philosophy here. But
Yeah, I mean this is a lot of it is rooted in philosophy and ethics, and that's why this topic's just so. What's the word I'm looking for? It can really ignite a lot of conversations on social media. Yes, Sarah.
my whole face is red right now.
Because I was going to ask that same question. I was going to ask that same question is like, homage and AI, how is that, is it the same? Is it different? But my question is how many right now AI art companies are out there? Is this just something like, like we just saw on that previous slide, like
Right.
3, or is it
So-
now like, is it just starting to just go? 'Cause
Right. So yes, ma'am. So Microsoft is the one that's put out the big one, right? They put out, money and funding for GPT. There's OpenAI. There's the big 3, but there are literally thousands out there that have different lines of funding. Some from Chinese, some from DoD funding, some from research companies. So there's literally thousands. It's just the ones that we have been able to utilize right now. They just happen to have funding from Google, Microsoft, and Cisco right now.
Trish, you provided this, and Kyle, are you familiar with this image?
I'm not. I just wanted to say one more thing about the homage cover. The difference is an homage cover, a cover for 8 billion genies. Charles and Ryan own the intellectual property for 8 billion genies. And was it a Mario cover? Mario's not on it, so it's not in breach of any copyright infringement. It's an homage to a world famous image, but it doesn't contain the intellectual property that is in that image. An AI actually takes copyrighted images and puts them into the computer. So again, philosophically, you might think it's the same thing, but legally, which is where this battle's going to be won, it's not the same thing at all. And art is protected in parody, and art is protected in editorial illustration. Like if you can do an editorial illustration with Mickey Mouse to represent the horrors of a corporation taking over creative things, but you're not in violation of copyright law because you are editorializing and using that as something. You've changed the context. You've recontextualized.
Now, if you took it and tried to make money from it, Disney can step in.
Well, I mean, no, that's not true because there's fine art all over the place that has put Mickey Mouse in it, and they've won the cases.
Well,
So-
no, as you can sell it as an individual piece. I'm talking if you were to take that image and then reproduce it as, say, a book.
I mean, you've
Then
read
Disney-
Mad Magazine does it all the time.
Yeah,
And
Mad Magazine or satirical cartoons, political cartoons, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
If you're taking, let's say it's the Mickey Mouse that's not public domain, and an artist blows up because they're using the AI, and Disney can prove that's not an originally created piece. Like someone redid it as satirical, like they just took that image slightly, just use that AI thing, and then they're at cons.
I mean,
No?
no, that's different. It's
Okay.
it's all a fine line. It all exists in headspace. Like art, what people call art, fine art. If you put a blown up Mickey Mouse and you put it in a gallery and you justify that it's fine art, then it's protected. But if you just make a bunch of prints of Mickey Mouse and you sell them at a convention and you don't have a heady art conversation about it, you're just printing making prints and selling them, you're in violation of copyright. I am not a lawyer. I am not a copyright expert. I have read a lot about it and have signed a lot of contracts. So I teach.
You're kind of an expert. I mean, that makes you an expert. What do you guys think of this question here? But from Brian, what about the Mickey Mouse drug plane cover? I'm not familiar with that. You guys know what
not sure.
Yeah. Lucas. It has like that old-fashioned plane. It's like a bluish cover, and it's like Mickey Mouse. And
I'll try to find it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
It goes for like $200 to $500.
Really?
It's a variant.
But it's a little older. Like it's not. Oh my god.
I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, I don't mean. I mean, here's what when I search Mickey Mouse drug plane. Weird search, but that's what I get. Is that what we're thinking?
No.
That's fine.
Oh my God.
So what's the story on the Mickey Mouse drug plane?
Yeah, Disney probably got in and freaking scraped it from the internet.
It clean.
Yeah. Now
we're
there is a naughty version of Mickey Mouse that's out there. He had his own comic for a while. Air Pirates funnies.
Oh, shoot.
Oh yeah,
Sorry
there's
about
Brian.
that.
He's telling me. Thank you.
Let me
I can't
lean
even
forward.
really see it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
gotta get in close.
Hold on, I can get it. I can get it.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys, again, we have a lot of you here. Thank you guys for participating with the chat. The engagement's fantastic. We are talking about AI art. And for anybody out there who thinks that this doesn't affect human artists, it does. But okay, I'm about to piss off every single guest I have here.
Uh-oh.
It's cheaper and it's faster than all
Boo!
I'm just saying.
Boo!
Well,
I use the triangle. Do I need
I'm
to
just
do this
playing
again?
devil's advocate here. It's cheaper and you can have it done in like 2 minutes. I mean,
Okay.
But here's the thing. If say you're a corporation, you're a giant corporation, and you want concept art for your new film, and you're going to pay a whole bunch of money for it, are you going to want concept art that a third-party AI company owns half of forever in any universe? They put that in the contract. In any universe. Or are you going to want something that only you own? And so I think what's going to happen is concept art there are going to be contracts for AI concept art, and they will pay lots of money. These studios will pay lots of money for these contracts, and then they will get to own all the art that they create. But anything that you see on the internet that somebody has put up, they don't own all of. Like the AI company owns a piece of, and that's really scary to me.
Disney developed their own AI to do concept art.
Oh, did they?
Oh,
well, that makes sense.
Well, shit.
Which is where this is all headed. They're eventually going to all start developing their own stuff. At least the bigger boys will. They'll start developing their own stuff. They'll do kind of what they did with that original crew from animation, where once they weren't useful, they were kind of booted out, and they'll use this because it is cheaper. But ultimately, do I agree with that on any conceivable level? No. But that's ultimately Disney's decision, that if they've created their own, program, their own way of doing it that allows them to own this artwork and it's original, it's not being taken from anyone else, then that's their prerogative to make that call.
Well, yeah, Disney is in a great position because they own billions of images, because they own Fox, they own everything. So they can scour every frame of everything they've ever created and feed it into their own AI engine. Smaller companies aren't going to be able to do that. However, go ahead. I didn't want to talk.
No, I mean, just a quick thing. Disney's had the ability to do AI type shit since the 80s. Because I remember when I was a kid, you go to Epcot and there was a booth where it would take a photo of you, and then it would off in the corner have this little robot arm fucking drawing the shit out of you in the scene of whatever scene you freaking wanted. So they've had the ability in the 80s.
Interesting.
They've had the ability to do that since for like forever. So go ahead, Kyle.
So this is what I really want to say. This is my opinion about AI and how it affects artists. And I have never done concept art for any company. If I were a concept artist, I would be more scared. But the reason I'm not scared for myself is because my job is like 70% of my job isn't drawing. It's like building relationships, interacting with people who follow my work, creating a narrative around myself and all the work I do. And there's a trend I see some people follow in the comic book industry where they're always chasing that next work for hire gig. And I think that's a dangerous plan for a career.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is your plan, then you might be in trouble with this AI. But if your plan is to become your own product, your own brand, and to say, hey, here I am, come see me, come talk to me, AI can't do that. They might be able to down the line. But people want a personal interaction, and they want to talk, and they want to be a part of an experience. And AI at the moment cannot do that. I think there will be like an AI influencer at some point. Like a few years ago, there was like an AI pop star hologram thing. But
Oh, that still goes on,
Yeah.
I think.
There's a few TikTok stars that are using the AI thing, which is like an avatar, and they're just in their freaking
so that's
living
called,
rooms. And
They
everything.
tried this 20 years ago with CGI to make CGI actors, like specifically.
Yeah.
Well,
But just like Black Mirror, there's already a few actors that have already signed up to do that type of stuff, to like record their image and everything, so that after they pass, they can still make productions. It's already freaking started. I forget the name of the last one to do it. But
James Earl Jones did it, and
Bruce Willis signed up for something like that.
Weren't they
Who
trying
was
to
it?
do that with Stan Lee's
Bruce
entire
Willis.
legacy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I gotta agree with Kyle. Rican, that human interaction, that going to the comic convention and chasing down that artist, to get them to sign your stuff, that's definitely integral. Except for Trish now, because her damn booth is too damn long. I'm too old to be freaking waiting, and I'm like, Trish, and she's like, and just left me the fucking finger. You're like, damn,
Wish. You're not giving them the experience. Well, here's an example of how this could affect Drew, Kyle, and Trish, all because these are real life artists that have their art taken away. It's been used, and then on top of it, they get cyberbullied, which I think is incredible. If you add that aspect into it, it's like, how are people even getting angry about this? But this could still happen even if you have a well-established base and you have fans and you have, what are you saying? Like a brand attached to your name, you can still have your shit stolen, right?
Not a brand, but an identity. Like you are a person. But yeah, those people are victims of this, and I feel like they are. It sucks a lot, and they're the people who are going to benefit from when these laws are finally passed.
Right. The three of us are, victims of the other end of this, which is the piracy in the industry. How many times has Twig or Stray Dogs been illegally downloaded? And it's kind of something we all accept is breakage within the industry now. But unfortunately, when you talk to people who do that, I don't try and shame people over it, but it's they don't see anything wrong with it. Ultimately, what they're doing is stealing. But if you're able to make that justification for yourself regarding that, then this is kind of my concern, is that this is your logical next step to use something like this and have no qualms with it.
Well, I have a question for the creators on this panel. So how songs have between like 30 to 58 samples of original other songs, and then they go back to that particular artist or singer or musician and they say, hey, we're going to use this song. How about we just cut you a check so we can just use it anytime we want? Would you guys be okay if these AI platforms did that for you? So like every time somebody went in and tried to use AI, you get at least 3 cents. So if 30,000 people use your style, you get at least a little piece of that.
That's
You
called
guys be okay with
licensing.
that?
That's called licensing, and that's I think that's what artists do when they grant anybody permission to use their art for anything.
That's something at a personal level that you as an artist have to decide what you're okay with, if you want to participate in that.
Right.
And that I think is different from what's happening, where if that conversation is had with any one of us, it's our own personal decision to make. But the fact that it's just, being decided is what's concerning.
Well, would you want it use by use basis, or would you rather them cut you a flat check out front?
I'd want to see the numbers.
Yeah.
You know they're going to lie on the numbers. You know they're going to lie like a mother.
They'll be
They
like,
get
we
it.
expect 1,000 per month.
Yeah, TLC sold 1 million copies. Their first record, they got $50,000 for that freaking thing, split in between each three.
Oof.
So, yeah.
Oh my God.
Um,
Okay. Somebody in the chat brought up Carla Ortiz here, did not design Doctor Strange. I think she just kind of like helped with some of the interiors. But Sarah, go ahead and take the lead on this one because you did some research on her.
Yeah, so I wanted to do a little bit more like understanding about AI and art. There is a great little kind of 6-minute video CBS Sunday Morning did kind of a report on it. And they used Carla Ortiz. She is a concept artist. I think we talked about this. And so they used 2 companies. One was named Dali, and the other one, I can't remember the other one's name. I found it interesting that the one that's named Dali is from Dali the artist and Wally the Disney property. But anyways, what I found interesting was with Carla, she was like, I'm not really worried about like, unemployment. Her concern was basically the heart of the artist is not in this art. It's just a, artificial, whatever, how many, like we've been talking about, this one company said that they've now downloaded 600 million images. So yeah, so that's what she kind of said, was that's what she feels as an artist, the heart of it is basically taken out of this art. So I found that very interesting that Dolly was the original. Oh, there you go. And then what I found interesting, because I think the whole porn aspect. So Dolly said that they do not take any images that have blood, violence, pornography. But the other company that I can't remember the name of it said like, yeah, we just kind of like shoot from the hip. So, you can kind of see where some companies are maybe taking responsibility and some again are just,
and they're going to get they're going to lose because I'll tell you what's coming. Is that there's already the first comic out there that was drawn by AI, Abolition Man, right? They're already building the first AI drawn manga. That's on its way. Right?
Wait, hold on, Lucas. This entire book was done by AI.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yes, ma'am.
Carson, I can't say his last name, Grobag. He took a philosophical essay by C.S. Lewis and fed it into an AI image generator, one line at a time. And then there's an article that explains like the process and how it went through. But yeah.
So this book went on sale, and I think this is a fairly recent book. And a shop that was selling it, I said, I didn't agree with the AI art generation thing. So they told me this is the wave of the future and to get on board. And I was like, I don't shop here anymore.
With giving up your ability to create books or make money or do anything, that's what you should get on board with. Okay, I'll get on board with the brick and mortar stores closing. Like, that's the dumbest argument I've ever heard.
I went to Wizard World Chicago in 2002, and I saw C.B. Cebulski panel, a giant Marvel panel, and they revealed a whole bunch of new art for new covers, and they revealed the cover for Spider-Man, Quality of Life #1, and C.B. Cebulski said, "This is the future of."
Wait, hold on. Stay there.
This CG computer generated.
The CG lizard?
And and it wasn't.
That is beautiful.
This industry has been touting the future of itself for the last 30 years. They don't.
It was Joe Quesada, not C.B. Cebulski. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Another one making great predictions there.
Yeah, you know what the future of drawn pictures is? It's fucking animated. It's animation. We've already had that. No, it's what's the future of animation? CGI animated. what's the
Well, and
future of
they're
CI
also
animated? It's going to be avatars where you can act out the shit on your own.
And
Well,
then
it's all cyclical.
yeah, but they have very sophisticated AI that has taken away the job of in-betweeners, pretty much on
Mhm.
hand-drawn animation stuff. And I mean, it still needs tweaking by humans to kind of make it look right, but
Look
it's
at his
this,
face, Trish. It's all like, "Meh."
well, so when this first
it's
came
perfect.
out, when this first came out in October, it was going for around 20 to 40, and now it's down to like between 4 and 15. So
Sure.
Really?
Still went down. Okay.
The whole thing reminds me of Phil Tippett. Do any of you know who Phil Tippett is? He's a special effects stop
Yes.
motion animator. He did
Phil,
RoboCop,
Phil,
all the Star
Phil
Wars
is
movies.
known as the dinosaur supervisor on Jurassic Park. That everybody wonders what he was supervising.
Well, yeah, so it's become a meme, yeah. But what happened
Yes.
was Phil Tippett is a master stop motion animator, and he was hired to do the special effects on Jurassic Park. And then the team made the computer generated dinosaurs, and Steven Spielberg saw them and said, "That's what we're going to do," and he fired Phil Tippett. And then he had the CG animators do the dinosaurs, and Spielberg was very unhappy with the performance of the dinosaurs. And he thought, holy crap, we need Phil Tippett. So Phil came back, and they made a rig where Phil could act with the dinosaurs, and he supervised the whole movie because the new guard who had figured out the CGI didn't know how to perform. They didn't know how to do the, they didn't know how to
Acting portion of the animation.
and I think, and now Phil just made Mad God, that giant movie,
Yeah.
that was in theaters. Anyway, I think the same thing's going to happen with this AI stuff. I was on a Facebook group. I subscribed to a couple of Facebook groups because I'm fascinated by all of this. And around Christmas time, there was a guy who was like, "Guys, I can't get the AI to replace Hans Gruber with Santa Claus falling out of the building." And then it was like a thread of like 100 people posting their attempts to make an image that brought to mind Hans Gruber, but it was Santa, and none of them nailed it. And it was easy to tell why, but none of those people were trained at illustration or image making, and so they all fell flat.
I have a question. You get whoever wants to answer this. So the guy Jen said, took lines from C.S. Lewis, put them into a machine. It created this. So who got paid for this? The publisher?
The
If
computer.
the publisher, the book made money, they got paid.
Yeah.
I'm so confused as to who got paid.
Diamond,
So-
because they're the ones that distribute it.
You have to pay to use the AI image making software. So
unless
Diamond,
you have it on your own server.
okay, well I didn't know that, but Diamond probably got paid, and whoever, I don't know what the contract is, obviously, but if the book made money, people got paid. But here's what's crazy: C.S. Lewis, that poem's copyrighted by him, and if it's the text AI generator I read all of the rules to, when he entered it in, he was claiming that he owned that, firstly. Secondly, anything you enter into it, they own, even if it's like your own thing. If you wrote an essay 20 years ago and you're like, here, AI, have this, they own it. That's written in the contract. So, and all of these images the AI company owns, which may not sound scary at all, but to me, all
That's pretty horrifying.
my books are creator owned. That's terrifying that some company would own half of everything.
Well, consider like the images that you put on Facebook and Instagram. If you've really read the contracts, they own that shit too. All the stuff that you put on there.
Wait, really?
Mhm.
Well, that's
Shit,
what
I don't read anything.
in the Vana, it kind of brings that up a little bit.
And
but that's later.
like the site DeviantArt, where a lot of artists post their work and stuff, they had a big old controversy a couple weeks ago because they automatically opted every artist, millions of images into AI art generating crap, and the entire internet exploded on them, and they have since retracted that. Now originally you had to opt out each of your images individually in your gallery. Opt out
Jesus.
individually. So could you imagine if you were a very prolific artist having to go through each image that you've created and individually opt them out? Now they've done it so that it's a blanket thing, so that you can just opt out your whole gallery.
Jeez.
They had to do that shit real quick.
Oh, this is intense, man. Like I'm sitting here, I'm like just absorbing everything you guys are saying because there's so much to it. And this is another slide that's going to make people angry. And oh well, let's just do it.
Boo.
So we saw this all over social media.
Trendy.
It was trendy. People
Yeah.
were challenging one another to do this. Now, anybody want to take the lead on explaining what Lensa does?
Yeah, I mean, unless somebody else was. So TikTok, of course, this is where it really took off. What allows there's a filter on both TikTok that comes from like 2 or 3 other companies. What it allows you to do is you can upload a photo of yourself, and what it does is it goes into artists like Art Germ or Martina or Trish or whoever, and it comes closest to it can of approximating what you look like and any type of style that's out there, and people have been loving it and everything. But what people don't realize is that they haven't been getting permission from the artist. They haven't getting, and once you put it up there, they own your image. And there's all other types of foreign, the bad guys doing weird stuff with the stuff already. So that's just the gist of it. I mean, that's just the iceberg of what's going on here. So for instance, all the I remember when Josh Middleton was like, he was the bad motherfucker back in the day doing the Batgirl covers and Wonder Woman covers.
Yeah.
Imagine just being able to pull, just a normal beautiful girl off the freaking street and just being able to do the same shit
Didn't that
within
happen?
seconds.
Who's that redheaded model that someone took that and did that cover with?
Oh, where she has her hands up?
It was like a redheaded model, and it was an artist that took that image and made it a comic book cover, and the model was like, hey, I didn't give you permission for that.
Right, we covered this a while back. I
just can't remember what book it was.
I don't know.
I don't remember, but I want to go up the line here since we started with Lucas. Kyle, thoughts on Lensa?
I don't know much about Lensa. I didn't use it because back when they were doing that thing where you could make yourself like super old, and it turned out to be owned by a Russian company, that contract didn't say they own your image; it said they own your likeness, which is a totally different thing. So
Yeah.
I don't sign up.
I want
for
the Russians owning me.
Okay, not to sound super ignorant, but I'm sure somebody in the chat's probably wondering this too. Let's say they have my likeness. What are they going to do with it?
I don't know, but you don't want to see
Porn.
yourself showing your billboard.
No!
Sorry, Anthony, but porn.
I don't want to be in a porn.
Like
You're such a
George Lucas owns Carrie Fisher's likeness.
Yeah.
And so
likeness can be used as metadata effectively. All they're doing is collecting data, and they'll use that, whether they can, I imagine they can now, they'll use that to approximate stuff for things like deep fakes. They'll feed that information into other programs, and all of these programs have applications that go far beyond what, the public can even, imagine for them at the moment. They're just collecting data right now. Somewhere in some server, it's just, billions and billions of terabytes of this stuff.
And it's a loss of control over your assets. Think about if you're an actress or an actor and you're 13, well, you're not yet. You're a 13-year-old and you give your likeness to some company, and then you become a world-famous actor at 25. Your $1 million asset is owned by some random company that got your likeness when you were young.
Right.
It really, because like James Earl Jones just sold his likeness forever to Disney for his voice. It's the same sort of thing. If he had given it away to some AI company, then
that's another reason why you don't see certain Marvel actors in merchandise and stuff like that, because they didn't license or they didn't give their likeness. They didn't give permission to use their likeness for like merch. That's why you won't ever see Star-Lord without his stupid helmet on, or Robert Downey Jr. like as Iron Man on stuff.
If the application is recognizing and mimicking patterns from a set of images, isn't that different from sampling or reusing an image?
The application.
I don't know.
I don't understand the sentence. Hold up. I gotta read slow. You putting too many words with ing at the end of it, man.
We're all like,
I think what they're trying to say is that if it's collecting, so let's say it's collecting data on all of us in terms of how a mouth moves to pronounce words. If all it's doing is collecting those data points and not using you directly as your likeness, isn't that different from them capturing your full likeness? I would say it isn't. You collect the data points are what make up being you. And if you haven't given permission for that, then that's an issue.
Yeah, I would say it depends what you agreed to, and chances are you agreed to it. If you're downloading apps and saying I agree to terms of service, chances are you have given away the
right. So, is he referring to this Lensa thing, or is he referring to the other discussion we were having regarding AI in general using the art? Because that's fine. He is absolutely right in a sense, but the fact is that right now they've been caught red-handed because the signatures of the artists have been all over it. You know, the Shutterstock Getty image, freaking watermarks have been over it. So it's not like they're taking the patterns; they are taking the images and just throwing shit together.
I want to also point out how janky that technology can be, because if you look at this dude's hand, that is not correct.
Hands, baby.
That's what I've heard.
How many fingers? 6
we're all doing it on the screen. Yeah.
I heard that
it's quite popular with the ladies.
Fingers for some reason, like it cannot understand fingers. Like it has.
It's fine. I know a bunch of artists that can't do hands either.
Or feet.
Give it a year. They'll be able to do hands in a year.
There's a Danish animator, director, and audiovisual artist, Christian Bach, did Entering the Data Core, and he said that it took like hundreds of images to make 10 pages because it wouldn't ever be the one that he needed. So he did his own comic too, but on his, I think he's on Instagram, like he showed how it's not easy. Like, especially a comic book when you're trying to get certain angles and looks, that's not going to be like, oh, I can make a comic book in 10 minutes or less. It's
and also a consistency in style. You're not going to get it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah, that's like the Hans.
Just like Hans Gruber.
This stuff is going to progress to a point that it can start to do this stuff. My issue is, and what I like about the conversation is that it's happening very early, that artists are coming in and basically going, absolutely not, fuck off with this. And it's kind of putting the brakes on some of these companies to be like, hang on, you don't get to just rip everyone's stuff off and build your little platform out of it. I think ultimately there are two paths that this eventually takes. The art gets much better, or the programs get much better, but ultimately they're not able to source from copyrighted material, and they just have to use kind of public domain stuff. And at that point, it is what it is. It's a fun little toy for people to try and figure out, but ultimately, if you're not a trained artist, if you don't have the real knowledge of storytelling, at least from the comics end, it can't be really utilized in any sort of meaningful way. The other side of this, of where it becomes an actual tool, will be where this technology goes to as an assist. So people cried foul when Photoshop came about and people started working digitally. Now it's more or less an accepted, form of working for a lot of artists, because ultimately it's a tool. You take that tool away from, any of us, we can, and just hand us a pencil or a piece of chalk, we can all still draw, and we can all still tell stories.
Right, but they abuse the shit out of it. They abuse the shit out of it. So certain artists like Inyuk Lee and Martina, who I love, they're out there trying to sell us 1/100ths of the same freaking shit. It's just a freaking different background color,
No,
or with her arm
they do.
doing like this instead of freaking that. Fuck that.
But that at that point, that's on the consumer to say, I don't want to go and spend $50 on this variant because the arm is in a different direction. The concern that I have is that it steals from the ability of us to create to do what we do, and that it somehow takes the things that we've created and uses them to generate something that is either one, unwarranted, or two, is directly based off of the work that we've created, and then is used to put us out of business.
But I don't think you guys are getting the correct feedback, because we're seeing too many artists. Homages are great that one time, but then you got the copycats of the copycats. Like, how many guys are out there copycatting the shit out of fucking Trish right now?
I'm 100% with you. The homage, like, I'm sick of seeing ASM homages. I'm sick of seeing certain homages to things. Ultimately though, that falls on the readership, that they need to decide that that's not what I want. If that's what they're buying, that's what they're buying. That I can't control. I would rather see more books than straight homages and variant covers. But the issue I think that most people have with this is the fact that it's sourcing from other people's work.
Sarah, you want to weigh in a little bit on this one?
I
know. I'm not saying shit right now. I'm like just staying out of this because holy hell.
It's very, I think we kind of hit it in the head in the beginning. It's very, this is very ethical. There's no, it's kind of like genetics back in the day. There really is, it is very kind of Wild West. It's very kind of like, nobody's really kind of like standing up just yet. But I was kind of thinking about it, and I could see where, does eventually like the big social media companies kind of converge with these AI companies and be like, let's work together, and
right,
instead of saying like, oh, you're bad,
oh man, I should have done a little more research in this a lot, but I know that there is a guy who uses some kind of social media, and he's like, hey, wait a minute, that's me. Why am I in this image? And then he found his photo on, I think, I can't remember what it was.
It was Pornhub.
And he showed it next to the AI thing. And he's like, why?
Was it really Pornhub?
Yes. There was a guy
Pornhub's full of all sorts of weird things.
Yeah, there was a guy who found an advertisement for so how there's like on the side there's like weird, if you watch porn, there's like the weird side advertisements, right? And he found his
your podcast has been totally derailed. This is now the Pornhub podcast.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck everybody you talk about technology and not talk about the forefront of it? Let's be real. This is an adult show.
Okay.
Come on, you don't. I'm trying to keep on that instead of talk about like beta and VHS. All right, so I'm just trying to keep it interesting, because otherwise it's just gonna be freaking 2 hours of you see me sitting down drinking and shit. You don't want to see that. Okay, so there's the side images of like weird clickbait freaking things, and he says, hey, I was just looking at it one day, and then all of a sudden I see myself on the side, and he's looking to see if his camera's on. He's like, no, oh shit, it's an ad of me, and that looks like the shirt that I had on like 10 days ago. What the fuck?
Oh.
So just remember that when you got your cameras on in front of you, sometimes they do turn on quickly and they grab the images. Where the images go, we don't know. But and what was weird,
and level of paranoia has been unlocked.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been covering up my cameras for years.
Yeah, and he said the worst part about it was at that one point. That one point, so it was obvious what he was doing in that freaking picture at that point.
Oh my god! But that's a good segue, sorta, I guess, in a weird, twisted way, because again, I don't read my user agreements, and I know people are giving me crap in the chat about it. I don't care. I
No.
don't read the TikTok. I didn't know
This-
Instagram owned our images.
This was an episode of South Park.
Send it to me.
Human
We're
centipede.
all of us on this panel are on Instagram. All of us.
Mhm.
I'll send it to you.
So
Yeah,
nobody
but-
cares. if
but
they
the-
own our shit?
All I do is post photos of Trish's stuff and the other artist stuff and pictures of food. That's all I got.
So when I read the Instagram terms of service, they don't own the intellectual property in the images. They own the actual images that you upload, which means that they can post those images anywhere. But that also means they own them at that resolution. If I post a photo of a sketch I drew, they can't print that sketch in a sketchbook. They can only print the photo of the sketch. The difference here with the user content that you've just put up here, solely for the purposes of, I'm reading it now, solely for the purposes of operating or improving Linza, which that's not what it said in the two other ones I read.
Oh, geez.
You grant us perpetual, irrevocable, non-exclusive, royalty-free, worldwide, fully paid, transferable, sub-licensable license to use, reproduce, modify, distribute. Here's where create derivative works does not jive with me for solely for the purposes of operating and improving.
So
what
basically,
that
they're
means-
using the images to create more images.
I don't know what they're using the images for, but if you were to
They sell them to third parties.
Probably.
your user content, and I don't know how user content is described. Content include. So if you upload photos, that might be your user content. So
User is anything you post, whether it be your words or the photos.
yeah, so it's
To include the your geographic location, your secret user ID that only they know unless you ask for it. There's all
So
types of stuff that
basically-
goes into user content.
if you're a creative person and you make your own work that you want to own, don't put it in these programs because then, I mean, I might be super paranoid, but I just don't want them to own that stuff.
Wait, so if you have HBO Max,
Uh-huh.
the South Park episode is season 15, episode 1, and it's called Human Centipede.
Oh no.
Oh, you know,
It is a phenomenal episode.
I think I have seen that. I think I walked in on and I was like, what am I watching here? So, okay, the number one takeaway. The number one takeaway, if you guys are just joining, we're talking about AI and all these lens apps. Read the user agreements, which
No one does.
I got time for that. Shit.
It's tiny print and it's like, 500 pages long because they know none of us are going to read it.
No. What's even worse is so they'll have something that's maybe like a page long, but then there's links in there to the actual stuff that's bad, and you just scroll right past it. Scroll. Oh, there's a link. Fuck that. Scroll, because man, that's what's crazy to me.
yeah, I don't even sign like when you go to the dentist and you have to like fill out all those forms. I don't even bother with any of that. I don't even know what I'm signing. I just initial everything and just keep on going and going and
You're
going.
like, you're going to take your teeth and form a new human being.
Well, consider looking into a class action lawsuit if you feel you may have been victimized, kind of like what Carlo Ortiz is doing, and support human artists. I think that's a big, big takeaway here. Because even though I was kind of, just busting your balls earlier about saying it's cheaper and faster, I do believe that hiring humans to do this work is important.
Well, I'm pretty sure that was the argument. That was the get on board argument, is that people who produce comics or want to make comics and have, no ability to create on their own, they just want to use this as a way to get their story out there. I can see that in a way, but also hire an artist, man. Hire a person.
Well, for the artists, on this panel, what if? Because the other side to the AI is the ability to write very quickly. Would you at any time think of just using it to write stuff for you? Because you can some of these you could just write an outline and then plug it in and it'll write the whole story for you.
That's a good point, Lucas. Would any three of you ever consider using AI for a good thing? No?
Oh,
That's not a
No.
good thing either. You take a job from a writer.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think you would take. I wouldn't consider using it to create a finished product, but I Google landscapes and things all the time. I Google microscope slides. I Google all kinds of weird stuff. And what comes up are photos that are owned by people. They're copyrighted photos. And I use them for reference. I use my human brain to mash all that stuff together, and then I come out with what I want to. But I'm not going to turn down the ability to type some stuff into an AI and generate 100 more things. Some of the coolest stuff I've seen, in fact, almost the only thing I've seen from these AI Facebook groups is people being like, here are 2 movies. Here's Tron and here's Jodorowsky, and here's what it would look like. And they're awesome. And I was like, wow, those are some really cool ideas that are now in my head that might come out later. Like when I'm drawing something way down the line, that vibe might come out. So I'm not against using it as an idea generation tool. And
well, I think, that might be a good way to think of it for reference purposes. I could see using it and then using my human brain to interpret that, what I'm seeing there.
And the text one's insane. The first day that I got on it one day before I'd read the stuff, and I was like asking it questions and like story questions, and it would come back. I did like story building exercises with it. I was just bouncing ideas off of it, and it would come back. And then the next day I read the terms of service, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore because I don't want but it's wild. And I had it write some stories. I asked it to write stories, and it's not a very good writer. I mean, it understands how to create sentences, but the at the end of your story, you're like, this is where the story should end, buddy. And it just kept going.
Yeah, because you could tell it how many words to write, how many pages to write. Well, not so once again, just remember that there's the cloud services, which is like AI GPT, Chat GPT. Then there's off server, which is software you can download straight to your computer. It's offsite, and you have to download the styles that you want. So for instance, if Trish wanted to do some stuff quickly, she would just use the images that's in her library and just pull that stuff in. So I'm telling you, Trish, that just because I'm very in anticipation of a Stray Dogs animation that could be possibly that you could build on your own without somebody else's bullshit. Just saying.
I have the ability to actually draw it myself. You know,
the full
paper.
Thing.
Yeah, you do. You
can. Well, I mean, maybe
it would take literally forever, but I could do it.
Yeah, like just do 15, 20 seconds, right? And then just put it out there, get the hype building so we get more funding, so we get around all that other bullshit you guys have to deal with, you know?
I've seen people do Kickstarters for animation projects. It's intensive, but fun.
All right. Can I read you guys a quote that I think will kind of it'll be something to kind of wrap up our conversation. Kyle, Drew, Trish, Lucas, Sarah, Jen, you guys all know who Stephanie Hans is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the chat knows who Stephanie Hans is. We reached out to her regarding this because this is, again, something that's a very hot topic with artists. And she provided a quote, and it's a pretty long one though. So I want you guys just to kind of like listen and absorb what she's saying, because she got very passionate about it. And then I want your responses to it. All right. We all heard it for years and years. If it's free, you are the product. And yet we all fell hard for the songs of internet sirens. Share your artworks. Make yourself visible. It is free. It'll make you feel loved. And for years and years, we fed the bottomless abyss until it was ready to spit it back at us. Talk about irony. I see this as a mortiferous dead end. Images created through AI are only looking at the past. They are a mashup of whatever looks cool, and when there won't be any artists left to create new voices from which to scrap, they will digest themselves and vomit the same kind of trendy and meaningless soup. Art is what explodes from our experiences, our stories. Each stroke is a continuation of the thousands that came before. This is so good. And yes, we are not all revolutionary artists, but everything we are creating comes from love and pain and sleepless nights. That is not something we are ready to let a machine take credit for. Now, AI can certainly find some place in a creation process, even if myself, I am pretty much against it. I am doing my job because I find it fun. Why would I cut myself from an essential part of a creative process? What fun would that be? Now, I'm not stupid. I know that paying as little as possible is a concern for some editors or even writers who want to feel like they have control over their creation. I see the appeal. I understand it even. This is capitalism after all. And it's a scary thing to think about.
It sounds like she punched that into Chat GPT and whatever the fuck.
No, that's beautiful. But
Because strong words from somebody whose art looks like it's pulled out of AI art all the time.
oh, her stuff, she's like a freaking
beautiful.
she's
Mhm.
her stuff is
She
amazing.
no, her stuff looks like freaking AI GPT is pulling their shit straight from her.
Oh,
But
from her?
yeah,
Mhm.
but her shit looks like, but she has more context. Well, sometimes she has more context. So, okay,
Kyle,
okay.
you're up. We're going up the line.
I definitely agree with her. I mean, I agree with this. The cannibalism with the absence of new voices is a dead end, because all the AI, the reason that it's all just film mashups is because those people are like, I like this movie and I like this movie, let's put them together. But the big things that change visual art, comics, cinema, television are people with a new visual
Yeah.
voice. And when those people aren't given a voice, it will become, it will implode on itself. But what I don't agree with is that that's going to happen, because, like I said, I've said it 5 times already. Being able to just create art isn't what makes people want your art. It's that you're a person and you have an entire skill set that AI doesn't have, and that people who just downloaded the AI thing don't have. And I want to make it clear, I don't judge anybody who's messing around with AI. I judge the companies that are stealing all the AI stuff,
Mhm.
because I think it's a valuable tool. I don't think that when a video game uses AI to create a bunch of textures, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I use Photoshop Content Aware, where you delete a section and AI fills in what was there before. So anyway, I could talk about this for hours, but if you're an artist, don't agree to terms of service if you don't understand them. If you're an artist, don't be afraid, because you are the person that people are going to respond to, and you should do everything you can not to just do work for hire all the time, but to make yourself
Create.
the brand. All right, that's all I
Yeah.
got.
Damn, that was okay. That's a great final thought. Drew, you're up.
So I'll build on what Kyle said. To me, I agree with him. It can't replace what you as the artist are doing. Anyone that has spent years and years practicing to do one particular thing, you're inevitably going to be good at it to some degree. And, ultimately, the human experience, whatever that is, good, bad, painful, happy, whatever, for me personally, that's what's injected into every single story that I tell, that I want to tell, that is conveyed through whoever, my partner is and what they bring to it. And, there's a difference from that to I plugged it into the computer and the computer generated something. My concern with this is all related to that people aren't having what they committed that amount of emotional effort or physical effort to stolen from them. So ultimately, I actually think AI will be a useful tool down the road, in ways that maybe Photoshop was. We'll find useful applications for it, but it can't mimic you as the artist and your experiences.
All right. Again, really well said. And I appreciate both you guys weighing in. Trish, you're up.
I mean, yeah, they pretty much said everything that I was gonna say. And I agree with Kyle a lot. We as artists and creators are kind of in a space where we need to make our own brand. Work for hire stuff all the time is is good when it's there and plentiful, but eventually that dries up and you got to do your own thing of it, at some point. So, make your own name. And I still feel some kind of way about, machines kind of taking and scraping what an artist took many years. And that's an ethical discussion that we've all had and we've all been around and roundabout on this panel. I don't like it. And that whatever you just said you used to like eliminate a background piece and put something else there, I don't know what that function is in Photoshop. I literally use it to draw. I don't do.
Text me later how you do that.
It's called content aware. It's awesome.
I literally don't know.
It sounds pretty cool. Right?
I've never used like any of the other like actual photo editing functions in Photoshop. I use it to draw. That's it.
Well.
But yeah, so anybody, want to shoot me some Photoshop tips, that's great.
You too.
But yeah, right. I don't have time for that.
You're too busy drawing, right? To look up. You're on YouTube, though.
But yes, I agree with everything that Stephanie Hans has said here, even though it's way more eloquent than I would have said it. Me artist, me create pictures, me don't create words.
Sarah, any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I think our like wonderful creative artists, and Lucas, I think we've all kind of said it is that, there has to be some kind of, ethics around this. And, art is created by human, emotion and passion. And, I would hate for that creativity to go away. And, because I've seen these images and like in that CBS piece, like the guy was like panda and like Renoir or something like that. And when I looked at it, I was like, it's just an image. There's nothing to it.
That damn panda's going to haunt us, huh?
Right?
That panda's never going away now. It's out there.
Panda.
There was like an avocado and a Renoir. Anyways, but I think that's what we were all talking about is that, AI, if there is parameters around this AI technology, okay. But, also these wonderful creative human beings, like, I don't want to see that go away because that, to me, those people give me joy and emotion and all good stuff from their art. So.
Agreed. 100%. Jen?
What everyone else said, what Sarah said, big major ditto to everyone that came today. And so Stephanie had a day and a half and that was chef's kiss, right? But what's that famous, Krish, the 10,000 hours people like play that little, like it takes you 10,000 hours.
10,000 hours to get good at one thing.
Yeah.
The master, to become a master.
And that's never not going to be true. But yeah, thank you guys. And Sarah said it probably the best because she encapsulated all you guys. And
Yeah.
Well,
We had an awesome panel tonight.
I have one last comment, just for you guys to think about later as we look at how the comic book community and right now Image has a fight going on with a bunch of writers and artists who want to unionize within Image. So AI, you can bet Mr. McFarlane is looking at how this might affect him and what he can lose because he's not going to be able to pay all those people. If Google can't pay their people as a result of all the stuff, you can bet Mr. McFarlane ain't going to be able to pay all those people. And he's looking at other options. That's it.
Oh, geez. Well, again, thank you to everybody that showed up today, everybody in the chat. This is an important topic, and I'm glad that we got multiple opinions to weigh in. Make sure you leave your thoughts if you have any that are residual after the show ends. After the show's over, just leave your comments. Don't forget that we have, let's see here. Monday, cover lovers. Tuesday's comic book women. Wednesday, we have the Mondo Mail Call with Team Nerd Herd. Thursday, we have Long Story Short going live. Friday is our Nearing Nirvana flagship show. And then Saturday, so tomorrow morning, if you want to tune in for the Saturday morning toy box with Team Nerd Herd, that's a really fun show. Yeah, and again, thank you guys so much for joining in. I sincerely appreciate having each and every one of you.
No, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll crush your show whenever.
We missed you guys.
I know I missed everybody that's here. Now like we're like done with the serious talk. It's so good to have like our people here.
Well, next month we got to do some Black History female artists or
You're coming
writers or
on with
something
us
like
next month, aren't you, Lucas? Isn't that the plan?
that. Try to whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm always here, but I would like to do an annual Black History Black female writers and artists that you guys want to highlight. I would love to be there for that.
Black Comic Lords is lending us one of their people, Tamiko, for a static show. We're going to be doing that in February. Then we want to have you on in February again as well. Before we go, Kyle is on Instagram, which we shouldn't be because they're watching us. But Kyle's on Instagram. Drew Zucker's on Instagram. Trish is on Instagram. Lucas is on Instagram. Sarah, Jen, and myself are all on Instagram. So please give everybody a follow and support whatever they have going on. Kyle, do you have anything coming up work-wise?
I'm working on stuff. I'll be working on stuff for a while, but I have been on Whatnot every week doing commissions. So follow me on there, Kyle Strahm on Whatnot, and I'm on Instagram as Kyle Strahm _.
Perfect. And I think I put that in the descriptions if you guys need their IG tags. Drew, anything coming up?
I am also on Whatnot at Art of Drew Zucker, and I am on Instagram at Art of Drew Zucker. And yeah, same deal. I'm stuck in the grind right now.
All right, very good. Trish?
Well, I'm working on my new thing, but also doing lots of covers for Disney books coming up. I have a signing February 4th at Third Eye Comics in Annapolis from 11 to 1. And the day before that, I'm giving myself hypothermia for charity by jumping into the Chesapeake Bay for the polar bear plunge.
Have fun.
Wow.
You got a link to that on your Instagram or anything?
Yes, I do. If you go to my Instagram, look at my bio. There's a link to contribute to my. I'm trying to raise $1,500, but if I can get past that, that would be great. So I'm almost there, and all in the name of helping those beautiful athletes accomplish, their dreams.
Choose shoes you don't care about.
Oh no, I've got aqua socks or whatever they are.
Very smart.
Interesting.
Oh, man. You're going to film it, right? And like show it on Instagram and stuff? Yeah.
I'm going to do my best because I bet as soon as I hit that water, I'm going to get furious and throw my phone. Just going to sink. That's all you'll see.
You heard her, you guys. Go out and support Trish. Let's end it on this. Cover Price is our sponsor. Make sure you use code Nirvana14 for 30 days of their unlimited membership for only 99 cents. That is a great resource. And Bird City Comics are sponsored retailers. Yeah. I mean, we drop exclusives every week. We have another Trish Forstner coming up this Friday. I believe there's another one coming up. So make sure you follow Bird City on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. In the meantime, read your user agreements, guys. We'll see you later.